EFF party agents will strictly be recruited from members of the VDETFs, and VDETFs must have operation centers and must always report on election work. Street volunteers are members of the EFF who volunteer to do work for the EFF on daily basis and must report to VDETFs. All of these task forces have the responsibility of delivering the victory of the EFF by all means necessary. Fellow fighters, part of the lessons that are required in the quest for victory is the ability to self-sustain our own revolution. The successful 10th anniversary program held were part and parcel of the training ground we developed for the internal machinery of the EFF to self-sustain its own revolution. There is no election we are going to win if we do not have the ability to mobilize resources to strengthen our internal capacity as individual leaders of the EFF. The mistake that many tend to make when we refer to resources is to think that resources refers to money alone. But money is not the only resource that is required of a revolutionary. A revolutionary and a true representative of the people is able to organize an operation center within their community and does not expect the organization to pay for the sustainability of that operation center. A grassrooted activist who is in touch with critical stakeholders of society can mobilize food for volunteers, can mobilize transport for volunteers and for voters to voting stations without spending any money because you are in touch with society and its motive forces. We need these types of activists if we are to fulfill the mandate of our people, which is to win elections and deliver their freedom. There is no election we can win if amongst us there are those who practice dependency on EFF for every single task and responsibility that will deliver our victory. You must fundraise. You must do so in a creative and in a manner that will not jeopardize the organization, because the enemy is scared and is looking for anything to destroy the EFF before we achieve our moment in 2024. In your efforts to fundraise, protect the image of the EFF and do not do things that are illegal. You must always comply with the law and make sure that your donations, if they are beyond the threshold, they are declared. Please, if you want to make sure that you stay within the law, do not cross the threshold with one individual. When one individual is about to reach a threshold in his donations to the EFF, leave him alone and go to a different one so that you don't pass the threshold and you don't have the irritation of having to declare to white capital that established this law to want to monitor and compromise the EFF. Comrades, we were harsh with those who failed to organize transport for their constituencies to come to the EFF 10th anniversary rally, because that was a clear indication that they will not be able to rise to the occasion of 2024. And to keep them amongst us will be tantamount to a betrayal of our people. The instruction to organize these passes was not a financial exercise. It was a political and ideological test to all EFF public representatives. We were testing if you have the political capacity to organize for the movement. And we're testing if you have the ideological capacity to appreciate that you cannot go to a celebration of the movement while you leave those you claim to represent behind. The battlefield for 2024 will be unforgiving, and as a result, the EFF has to be unforgiving to those who do not have a political and ideological appreciation of the instruction we gave them. We stand here today knowing how many soldiers we have and what they can do. We stand here and declare better few than many who will make us plan with numbers that we do not have in reality and lead us into an ambush. We are here today strictly with dependable forces of the revolution. All of you who are seated here, you were vetted, and part of the vetting included whether you paid for a bus. And all of you have passed the vetting because you are dependable forces of our movement. We say to you today, much more will be expected in terms of fundraising for our movement, and you dare not fail, as you'll be failing generations before you, and you'll be failing those who are going to come after you. Fellow fighters, we must take this opportunity to congratulate the EFF Student Command, immensely proud of its student movement, which is living up to its responsibility of mobilizing the youth behind the banner of economic freedom. We are confident in the complete victory in all of the upcoming SRC elections as a sign that the young intelligentsia of South Africa is aligned with the future of this country, and that future is the EFF. The duty of all election task forces of the EFF now is to ensure that all of those votes in the campuses are converted into EFF votes, and this begins with the aggressive voter registration drive and canvassing of all those votes of EFF Student Command in all the campuses that we have won. We need the data, registration, and commitment to vote for the EFF from all those who have voted for us in the campuses we have won, to ensure that we can deliver free, quality, and decolonized education as an EFF government. Fellow fighters, we have established now the Youth and Student Election Task Force, whose role will not only be to mobilize students behind the EFF, but equally to mobilize millions of rejected youth of South Africa who are not in school or any form of formal employment. Let us support this structure and ensure that it maximizes its work in all corners of South Africa through a vibrant and conscious campaign that will rescue young people from voter apathy, alcohol, and drug abuse. Winnie Mandela multiplied, and that the women of South Africa are ready to confront the triple oppression they are confronted with. It is the Women's Mobilization Committee that takes over the work of the GBV desk of the EFF and confront head-on the problem of gender-based violence in South Africa. It is only through women leadership and women decisive intervention that we will be able to defeat GBV in South Africa and women occupy their rightful place in South African politics, in the judiciary, in the legislature, and in the executive. A woman's place is no longer in the kitchen as they prescribed those who hate women. The woman's place is everywhere where decisions are taken. Women must be there to ensure that men are well behaved and they are peaceful in their conduct, and that they provide cool-headed solutions to challenges confronting society. Fellow fighters, the domestic conditions in South Africa remain ripe for change, but the domestic conditions alone will never win us an election. We need to adequately communicate to our people that the conditions they are subjected to are not normal and can and must change. It is our duty to not fall into the campaign tactics and tricks of those who seek to divide African people in order to secure a vote. There has been much made about specific areas in our society that will be critical points in the 2024 election. And as you go into commissions, this must form part of your thinking, strategies, and tactics. It is our collective duty to constantly conduct political and ideological competitor analysis and counter information so that we can always undermine distortions by our enemies who seek to win of the divisions of Africans. The ruling party in South Africa, after having tested the ground through various proxies and puppets on the ground, has taken a deliberate decision that it will suddenly blame the social ills of our country on illegal immigrants. The very same ruling party that has African in its name has adopted as an election strategy that it will attribute its failures to African people. And it does so to take advantage of our people and distract them from the fact that they have failed. They do this out of desperation, and part of their strategy, most recently, is to invoke apartheid as a reason for their 3 decades of failure to change the lives of black people in South Africa. The lack of investment in education means that we do not have sufficient scientific, engineering, and town planning capacity, which leads to the overcrowding of buildings and the congestion of our people in townships and city centers where there are job opportunities. They blame their negligence on education and skills development on apartheid. It is the EFF that has long warned of the suspicious role of the NGOs in our country, which are funded by the likes of George Soros and have been an ally to various factions of the ANC since the dawn of democracy. Now, because it suits them, they have betrayed their NGO allies who have never held them accountable for issues such as the sealing of the CR17 documents, the Palapala farm saga, and the overall failing presidency of Cyril Ramaphosa. They are now able to blame NGOs because it suits their agenda. The ruling party in South Africa is attempting to play a delicate balance between being proud to have governed since 1994, while at the same time being so ashamed of its failures that they depict themselves as victims of the system. The EFF must be able to articulate that the domestic conditions of South Africa of collapsing infrastructure, lack of electricity, lack of water, lack of housing, and the rising cost of living must be blamed on the ruling party that was never prepared to govern in the first place. Our state-owned enterprises are being privatized by an unaccountable minister of private enterprise by the name of Jamnandas Godan, who is permanently sick whenever he has to account to Parliament for his role in destroying our assets. We must articulate this to our people who suffer chronic load shedding and lack of affordable transport because a group of individuals are selling our national assets such as Eskom and Transnet to the highest bidder. Fellow comrades, our institutions are compromised in defense of a president who has no capacity to take our country forward. The Office of Public Protector has been destroyed in defense of a money launderer. The Office of the Reserve Bank has been destroyed in defense of a woman abuser called Cyril Ramaphosa. The Office of Revenue Services has been destroyed in defense of Cyril Ramaphosa. I can tell you this without any hesitation. They are now attempting to destroy the IEC so that the IEC can defend Ramaphosa's defeat on the polls in 2024. but they must find us ready for them. We must never allow anyone who is a member of SADC or any member of the union that is aligned to COSATU to be part of the IEC. COSATU has declared on daily basis that it will support the ANC. How can members of unions aligned to COSATU be allowed to go and be presiding officers and IEC staff members at the VD level? I don't know these people. You know them very well. You are going to identify them and you are going to object them. And if you see them on election day working for the IEC, we will stop the VD until those individuals are removed because they've declared their intentions very clear. Comrades, why do you hire teachers who are affiliated to SADC when there are so many young people in South Africa who are unemployed, who can get an opportunity on that day to work for 1 or 2 days and something and be able to earn something for a living? Comrades, there are a lot of people who are not registered to vote. Home Affairs and IEC, they are refusing with the data of the people who are not registered to vote. When you are a South African, you have an ID. Home Affairs has got a data of all of us. Therefore, Home Affairs will have a data of all those who have turned 18 and above. And because the IEC works under Home Affairs, then Home Affairs will give to the IEC that these are the people who are 18 and above South Africans, all of them. Then the IEC will plug that into their system. Then it will tell them those who are registered and those who are not registered. Therefore, we'll have names, surnames, and addresses of people who are not registered to vote so that we can go to those people and convince them about voting. Because if you do not vote, you are actually voting for the ANC by not going to vote. So we need to convince these people. But the IEC is refusing with their data. I have asked, I've not seen it, that a letter, a legal letter must be written to the IEC, putting it under terms to give us the data of unregistered voters of South Africa. And if the IEC refuses to give us the data, we must go to the Electoral Court and say, how are we expected to fight for free and fair elections when the IEC is refusing us with information that will create free and fair election and ensure that there is maximum participation on the election day after we've registered these unregistered voters? I hope and believe that that IEC has received that letter. Comrades, when we go into doing this work of campaigning, we must never forget that we are government in Johannesburg, and that when we campaign, we must never forget our responsibilities to the people of Johannesburg as MMC of public safety and health respectively. Deliver to our people. Don't say now we're going to elections, I'm no longer delivering to our people, I'm going to campaign. As MMC of public safety and health, the reason you are appointed, it is because you are an all-rounder. You can campaign and MMC at the same time and never neglect that responsibility. I'm very happy with the role that the MMC of public safety is playing in Johannesburg, especially recently with hijacked buildings and the dilapidated buildings in the CBD of Johannesburg. We want him to continue to fight. I was very happy when you put that Panyaza in his place and made sure that the voice of the municipality was heard, because you are not under administration. Don't go into the municipality and think you have a responsibility to impress mayors and premiers of the ANC. You have no such a responsibility. Neither do you have a responsibility to respect them. They don't deserve our respect. They've sold out our people. We are in this situation because of them. My week was made. You see, my voice and my nose are troubled. But when I saw the chairperson of Human Settlement and Infrastructure in Ekuruleni going to give houses to the victims of 2019 floods, I was the happiest. But this is what our government must do. You must deliver to our people. When the MMC of Infrastructure in Mohali City continues to close potholes and go into the squatter camps and fight for opening roads, access roads into those informal settlements, I'm happy because we said to our people, we'll do things differently. And he took the grader, the MMC of Infrastructure in Mohali City, and went into informal settlement and started opening roads so that pregnant women, when they are about to deliver, an ambulance can have access into that informal settlement. We don't have to wait for a tar road. We don't have to wait to be fully in government. Whatever little resource we lay our hands on must be utilized to benefit the ordinary masses of our people. The MMC of Finance in Ekuruleni continues to make us proud by massively increasing revenue collection and ensuring that the finances of Ekuruleni municipality are in order. I watched him on TV the other day where he said they closed the books of the municipality and they've got a surplus of 300+ million, which they've not wasted through corrupt activities. The MMC of Waste Management, I saw you making the DA cry like babies when you took the trucks into Tembisa and Katlehong to go and collect waste from the townships and informal settlement. The DA said when they were government, the trucks were not allowed to go into the townships, therefore they were sabotaged. It is not our problem. It is their own problem. No one can sabotage the government of the EFF in Ekuruleni. We know the ANC tactics. We know when they are about to engage in shenanigans, we meet them toe for toe. That's why they will never sabotage the government of the EFF. The MMC of Health in Ekuruleni visiting the clinics, talking to our people on the queues, in the clinics where the queues are long, the MMC, not out of the budget of the municipality, out of her own creativity, creating soup kitchens right outside the clinics so that when our people are queuing, they are able to eat something. We had previously been critical for the performance of the MMC of Nelson Mandela Bay, and it is clear that our criticism, which is a self-criticism, was helpful as we are beginning to see their activities. As the MMC of Infrastructure and Engineering has embarked on initiatives to improve the sewer system in the municipality, while the MMC for Energy and Electricity has launched a load shedding curtailment pilot project in the municipality. This project entails the installation of meters that will ensure that our people are still able to utilize lights, plugs, and televisions when there is load shedding at a limited rate. We, however, need more public service delivery initiatives, not only from the MMCs of the EFF, but all public representatives, as it is the work of this nature that will be our track record of governance on the campaign trail. We must begin to get reports from all the public representatives. Oh, my favorite place of Metsimahulu, we have nothing to say about you for now, because you have just come in as the MMCs. But we have full confidence in you, comrades. You have done things happen, and you are the biggest area where we drew our votes in 2021. We know that the people of Metsimahulu trust you and trusted you with their votes. That's why they will not expect anything less from you as you assume your responsibilities of being the MMCs. We said to you, members of legislature, parliament, and councils, go and adopt schools, go and adopt clinics, go and adopt soup kitchens and communities around you and give them support. We said this to you every year, reminding you even in the caucuses. It's very painful now, because for all of you in parliament and legislature, if you get nominated, you are going to have to fill in a form of the schools that you have adopted previously, the clinics, the community work, or any other thing that you did that uplifted the communities where you come from. Talking inside parliament, legislature, and council is not enough. Do you want to go back to parliament? Do you want to go back to the legislature? Tell us why, if you have no track record of community work. We tell you all of this when we smile. When times are happier, you think we're joking. When we come to ask for accountability, you cry like crybabies, and you even say, people hate you for nothing. I'm very happy for a change in the past 10 years, that people get removed from their positions because they did not bring buses, and they don't blame me as a dictator and say all bad things about me, but they blame the chief for having removed them because he hates them from previous conferences. I was so happy, like for the first time, someone can be blamed. Musingisi doesn't play when it comes to those things of holding you individually accountable. So I don't want you to scream and then start blaming Mzingisi for nothing. We told you before, you have not done your work. Accept that we left you for the past 5 years. Be grateful that we're even going to give you your pension from parliament for doing nothing. Why do you want to fight us if you don't go back for being lazy? Ask some of us. We find comfort by living amongst communities. We may stay in the suburbs, but we spend most of our time changing the lives of those who were told by their neighbors, their siblings and cousins, that there will never be anything in society. We enjoy giving our people back their dignity and their lives. That's what we have done for the past 5 years. That's what we'll continue to do for the next decade, because it is our job. We are not here to impress celebrities. We don't exist for television. We exist for those who are neglected and rejected, masses of our people in the informal settlements, in the villages, in the townships, in the factories. All of those people are our friends. When you saw that stadium, they knew that they are going to the festival of their own, because this movement belongs to them and no one else. I hope journalists will start reading the research reports that are given every quarter in this country and stop calling the EFF the Malema EFF. The research has confirmed undoubtedly that the EFF belongs to educated men and women, that the voters of the EFF are high earners in society, that the EFF as a brand has surpassed the brand Malema, and therefore it has assumed a life of its own. Those of you who thought that you can destroy this organization by associating it with an individual, you have successfully failed. Comrades, like I do it with a smile, I've done it before. All of you who are designed and who are given responsibility to chair commission on women, on communication, on the youth, on fundraising, on food banks, on voter registration and minority group, and all of you who are given a responsibility to serve in the election task forces of the EFF, do so with discipline and dedication. Make sure you sacrifice your time with your family. We're just asking for the remaining 7 or 8 months of your time. From there, you will be delivered back to your families. Those who want to go into the ground with your families, you are more than welcome to take your families along and go with them to the ground. Where you are deployed, that's where you are going to vote. That's where your VD is. You vote where you are deployed as cadres of our movement, not where you come from, because you are a national citizen by virtue of being a national leader. Go and lead our people without fear. Go and lead our people with bravery. Go and lead our people with determination. Do not be scared. The enemy has declared us an enemy number one. We have said to the enemy, we have accepted to be enemy number one. We have accepted the call to the battlefield. Don't be scared of white monopoly capital. Don't be scared of the right wingers. If there is a voting station in the farm, we are going to enter that farm. We are going to be everywhere where a voter is found. All of you, do this with discipline and dedication, because the positions you are occupying are not positions that you are elected on. You are appointed into those positions. If you are not going to discharge your responsibility as expected, you must know, like I said, we'll ask you nicely, diligently, excuse us so that we can have someone who's going to lead this committee, who's going to lead this election task force with dedication and discipline. The EFF success for 10 years dependent on discipline and dedication. And I know and trust you that you are disciplined and dedicated, and you fear nobody. You don't want to fail the masses of our people. And I know that with you, every street, every village, every township shall be painted red. Comrades, the call to action is, let's prepare for Victory Day. Let's make sure that when victory comes, it comes and find prepared people. Because if you are not prepared for victory day, you are going to fail, and this work you are going to do will dwindle into nothing. It's useless to mobilize and win elections, and after elections, you don't know what to do with victory. We need dedicated men and women as you go to prepare for this election to know what is going to happen after the election day. Prepare for Victory Day, because 2024 shall present a victory day, and that victory day is the EFF in government, and the EFF is going to deploy well-qualified people who are going to govern all the provinces and all the departments that are there in South Africa. Let's make one point very clear. Do not practice to be a deputy minister, because there won't be deputy ministers in the EFF government, because those positions are useless positions and they waste a lot of money of our people. You want to be anything, prepare to be a minister. You want to be anything, Dr. Ndozi, I don't know, prepare to be a premier in Gauteng, not anything less than that, because we are going to govern Gauteng whether they like it or not. Gauteng belongs to the EFF, and no any other political party shall govern Gauteng. Comrades, the victory is coming, and that victory is economic freedom in our lifetime. All of you, you only need two things. Do not impress anyone. Do not take the EFF victories to be yours. Do this with humility. Just make sure you carry with you two things: discipline and dedication. Why are you disciplined? Why are you dedicated? I'm preparing for the day after victory. Thank you very much.
Stanley.